These dreams are from May 21st of 2021, and I see three short scenes, and the scenes all seem to pertain about vaccinated or maybe even the mark of the beast, some kind of a mark. But I believe it's just vaccinations and whether or not a person can buy or sell. But also you'll see that this man is forced to join the army. That wasn't his original intention. So this first scene, there's a man and a woman. Now I understand that these people do not have the mark of the beast. They're refusing vaccinations, so they completely don't have any submissions. Now they do business with this one man, and this man, he is vaccinated, and he has a corporation. They do work for him, and he pays them. At some point, this guy, I see him just somewhat with small details. He has this long, straight black hair. I mean, it's jet black. It goes down to like the bottom of a normal shirt collar. And one day, though, this guy's skin just turns purple color, and then he dies. So now, this couple that are unvaccinated, they discuss with each other what they're going to do. And they come up with this idea that no one else was a board member or owned this corporation, so it's just sitting there. So they take over the corporation and continue to run the business of this corporation, and they also do the work that they formerly performed, which was to provide services to this corporation, and then they pay themselves out of the corporation to themselves. So while at this time it seems like the reason that this is such a conundrum for them is that they don't have, as unvaccinated people, they don't have any other opportunity to create income to pay their daily bills, right? So this is how they circumvent the system, is that they control this corporation. And when I prayed about it later, I started, the Holy Spirit told me that this won't be true for all legal entities, but some legal entities will be able to skirt the system, at least into the beginning of it. Maybe not the entire duration of the tribulation period, but for some time they're going to be able to operate this way by forming a corporation, working for the corporation, and then paying themselves from the corporation. So I just drew a little graphic here. So you see the corporation in the middle there. They have their own clients to whom they sell products and services, and then they have employees and service providers, which this unvaccinated couple, they were service providers. So they were paid as a subcontractor or something. Okay, so in the second scene, what I've seen is that a man, he's been activated. He's called up to join the army. And I see also that he has this white phone. I just think this phone is kind of to show that it's maybe a future time, because this phone had an access port. You see this picture I put in here with this flash drive. It wasn't in the bottom like they're showing here. It was in the lower, if you were looking at the screen, it'd be on the lower right-hand side. But it looked like this. See how it has this little flip-up part? It had something like that on it. There was something with a hinge on there somehow. So someone's calling him. He's unfamiliar with the phone's operating system, and he ignores a bunch of calls because he's doing something that he's not supposed to be doing, and he doesn't want to get caught. And so he's left his unit. So they're calling him, and he thinks, well, they're probably issuing gear and equipment, and I need to be there. If I'm not there with everybody when the gear is issued, then they'll have to make a special trip, and then it'll be inconvenient for the unit that they'll have to, find another way for me to go and get issued equipment and gear, right? So this guy, he doesn't have gear now. He was a civilian, and now he's been forced to come and join the military. Somehow he got called up or something. So maybe he was a retiree, maybe he was in the Independent Ready Reserve, something like this. I don't know. Or maybe he just had military experience and they called him up. But that third one, I think that's the case. And it wasn't really his choice. And this phone is far advanced than anything I've ever seen in a phone. And so when he had inserted this thumb drive, it automatically brought up this audio editing software. And so that was why he was, even when he tried to answer the phone call, he couldn't. Okay, so in the third scene, there's like an outdoor cafe. And this photo here is just representative, but it's kind of what it was like. There was this large canopy. It was much larger than this. There were many tables in there, and there were people eating meals, and he was with some of his friends that he was now in a new unit with. They had formed a new unit, and he was in with his fellow soldiers, and they had purchased a meal. And for some reason, he did not. But when he went to the register, he asked his woman, he said, can I just have a glass of ice water? And the woman, her face becomes fearful. She says, no, we're absolutely not permitted to give free food of any type. Like it's absolutely against the rules. And the way she looked so afraid, it was clear to me that there was some kind of consequences for her maybe if she did that. Like it was It was a real big deal that somebody who didn't pay for food, and the thing was that you needed more than money. You had to show some kind of a proof that you were vaccinated in order to get food. And so that's why you can't give free food, because then unvaccinated people would have some kind of a side way. So they're putting in big efforts to block people from operating within the commercial system, even though there's still, you can pay cash, you can use plastic, debit, whatever, credit cards, but you also had to show proof. So he didn't have that, so he couldn't do it. But he tells us, listen, well, how about if I just give you a quarter, and if someone else shows up, maybe they don't have enough money to pay, you can use this quarter to pay out the remainder or whatever, and then you just give me a cup of water on the side. And for some reason, the woman goes for that. She says, okay, I'll do that. So she puts some ice in a cup, a little clear plastic cup, and she puts some water and she gives it to him, and that's the end of the dream. So in these 3 dreams, I see that there's this future time. Some of these things I've seen before. A lot of people being called up into the military, ROTC cadets even. I've seen that before. That's something I have seen. And at that point, and this is from another dream, not May 21st dreams, but I saw that Russia was the enemy. They had some bombs that they were using that detonated in the air and sent out a lot of shrapnel. They were producing high numbers of casualties. So, and that dream as well, money was an issue. Like everybody who had money was collected from them, because everything was going to be provided by the army. A lot of things to deduct from this. The Army is still operating when the war starts. That's something other people have seen as well, something I've seen. Navy, not so much. Air Force at a reduced capacity, which strengthens over time. But this is more interesting in that I also saw that people were struggling to get money and even to spend money because of restrictions on unvaccinated people. And that's something we have to prepare for. But last night before I went to bed, I prayed. I was like, Father in heaven, please show me something to share with my brothers, to share on YouTube, to share on radio shows, and this is what he showed me. Something that you want them to know. Please give me something that you want them to know. So I think this is the biggest, juiciest bit here, is that if you have a corporation, how will a corporation show proof of vaccination? It can't. So unless they just cancel all corporations, which they're not going to do, because corporations are going to become the new world leaders under the satanic agenda, right? Not elected governments. So a corporation will be one means that you can circumvent this system. If you have a corporation, the corporation does work, but the onus of the corporation is to confirm that people have been vaccinated. Just like this woman at the field mess hall, she needed to confirm that people were vaccinated before she would serve them or even sell them food. This shows that, but a corporation, if the corporation is entirely controlled by unvaccinated people, good for them. They can say, oh yeah, we have no problems here. Everything's good to go. They report their paperwork quarterly just like every other corporation. No problem. So it seems like this is one way that will work, at least for some time, right? So you can delay whatever hardship there will be because you refuse to take the vaccinations, you refuse to take the mark, however it's going to go. This is the man from Modesto, reminding you as always to pray or be defeated.